The rain had been falling since sunset, the kind that soaked through jackets and sank into bones, the kind that made the city feel colder than it really was. Daniel Carter stood outside the glass doors of the Grand Orion Hotel, his 5-year-old son, Leo, asleep against his chest, small arms wrapped around his neck like he was afraid to let go. Even in dreams, Daniel wasn't supposed to be here. Men like him didn't belong in places like this. His shoes were worn at the edges, his coat borrowed from a neighbor 2 winters ago. He smelled faintly of rain, exhaustion, and cheap detergent. Around him, luxury hummed, black cars pulling up, chauffeurs opening doors, women in silk dresses and men in tailored suits stepping onto dry pavement as if the weather itself obeyed them. Daniel hesitated. Just 5 minutes, he whispered to himself. Then we leave. Inside the hotel, everything gleamed, marble floors, gold-trimmed pillars, chandeliers that looked like frozen waterfalls. Each step echoed, too loud, too noticeable. He adjusted Leo on his shoulder, praying his son wouldn't wake that at the front desk. A young concierge looked up, and frowned. Sir, can I help you? Daniel swallowed. I was told to come here. For a meeting. The concierge glanced at the sleeping child, then at Daniel's clothes. Name? Daniel Carter. Something changed. The concierge's eyes widened. His posture straightened instantly. One moment, sir. Before Daniel could ask anything else, the concierge picked up the phone, spoke in a low voice, then nodded sharply. She's been waiting, he said. Penthouse. Elevator C. Daniel's heart began to pound. He didn't ask who that he already knew. Everyone in the city knew Victoria Vale, the youngest self-made billionaire in the country. Tech empire founder. Media phantom. The woman whose face appeared on magazine covers and whose name made stock markets twitch, and apparently, the woman who had sent a black envelope to Daniel's tiny apartment that morning. No return address. No explanation, just one sentence: come tonight. Bring your son. The elevator ride felt endless. Leo stirred slightly, mumbling something about dinosaurs. Daniel smiled despite himself, brushing his son's hair back gently. You're okay, he whispered. Daddy's here. The doors opened silently. The penthouse was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing the city glittering below like a galaxy trapped in glass. Soft lighting. Modern art. Silence so thick it felt deliberate, and then he saw her. Victoria Vale stood near the window, back turned, dressed in a sleek black suit that looked more expensive than Daniel's entire life. Her posture was straight, commanding, effortless. She turned slowly, her eyes locked onto him, not curious, not surprised, possessive. For a moment, neither of them spoke, then she smiled. Daniel Carter, she said calmly. You're late. I'm sorry, Daniel stammered. My son, I know, she interrupted gently, walking toward him. Each step clicked softly against the floor. I told you to bring him. She stopped inches away. Up close, she was even more overwhelming, sharp cheekbones, eyes like polished steel, confidence radiating from her like heat. She looked at Leo, something softened, just barely. He looks like you, she said. But quieter. Daniel laughed nervously. He's asleep. Good, she replied. Then her gaze snapped back to Daniel, intense, unwavering. You've been struggling. It wasn't a question. Daniel stiffened. How do you? I know everything, she said simply. The eviction notice. The second job you lost last month. The medical bills. The nights you skipped dinner so he could eat. Daniel felt exposed. Bare. Small. Why am I here? He asked quietly. Victoria stepped closer, close enough that he could smell her perfume. Subtle, expensive, intoxicating. She reached out, gently adjusted Leo's blanket, her fingers brushing Daniel's arm. Then she looked straight into his eyes and said the words that would shatter his world. Tonight, she whispered, you're mine. Daniel froze. The room seemed to tilt. What? His voice cracked. Victoria's expression didn't change. Calm. Certain. Dangerous. Relax, she said softly. I'm not talking about ownership of your body. She turned and walked back toward the window. I'm talking about your life. Daniel's heart thundered. I don't understand. You will, she replied. Because tonight, everything ends. Your poverty. Your fear. Your running. She turned back, eyes blazing, and tomorrow, you'll belong to a world you never imagined. Silence fell again. Leo shifted in his sleep. Daniel stood there, holding his son, staring at the most powerful woman he'd ever met, knowing, deep down, that whatever choice he made next would change everything forever, and somewhere in the darkness of the city below, destiny was already moving. Daniel didn't sit. He couldn't. His legs felt locked, his arms tight around Leo as if the child were the only solid thing left in a room that suddenly felt unreal. Victoria Vale moved with quiet authority, pouring herself a glass of water, completely unbothered by the storm she had just dropped into his life. You look like a man waiting to wake up, she said without turning around. Don't worry. This isn't a dream. Dreams don't come with consequences. Daniel finally found his voice. You said, tonight I'm yours. That's not something you just say to someone like me. She smiled faintly. Someone like you is exactly who I say it to. She gestured toward the couch. Sit. He'll wake up if you keep shaking like that. Daniel sat slowly, easing Leo down beside him. The boy stirred, rubbed his eyes, and looked around in awe. Daddy, big house, he whispered. Victoria knelt in front of him, eye level, something rare and human flickering across her face. Hi, Leo. I'm Victoria. Leo blinked. Are you a princess? Daniel almost laughed, but Victoria answered seriously. No. I'm something scarier. She stood and faced Daniel again. 6 years ago, she said, a man like you saved my life. Daniel frowned. I've never met you. You carried me out of a burning car on Route 17. You didn't wait for cameras. You didn't ask my name. You left before the ambulance arrived because your wife was calling, pregnant, scared. Daniel's chest tightened. He remembered that night. The flames. The screams. The woman bleeding but alive. She died 3 months later, Victoria continued calmly. Your wife. Complications. I know. Daniel's eyes burned. Why are you doing this? She stepped closer. Because you disappeared. And because men like you don't get saved, they get forgotten. She slid a folder across the table. Inside were documents, debt cleared, a trust fund in Leo's name, a job contract with a salary Daniel couldn't even pronounce. Sign, she said. And what do you want in return? Daniel asked. Victoria leaned down, her voice low. You'll live in my world. You'll be seen with me. You'll be loyal. No lies. No running. He stared at her. And if I say no? Her eyes hardened. Then you walk out into the rain again. And nothing changes. Silence stretched. Leo tugged Daniel's sleeve. Daddy. I like her. That broke him. Daniel picked up the pen with shaking fingers and signed. Victoria exhaled slowly, like someone who had just finished waiting for years. Good, she said. Because tonight wasn't about control. She met his gaze. It was about fate finally catching up. As the city lights glowed behind them, Daniel realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. His old life was over. And whatever came next would either save him, or destroy him completely. Morning didn't arrive gently, it crashed into Daniel's new reality like a warning. Sunlight poured through the penthouse windows, too bright, too clean, revealing a life that still didn't feel like his. Daniel woke on a couch that probably cost more than his old apartment, his arm numb from where Leo had slept curled against him, safe and warm in a way Daniel hadn't been able to give him in years. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he heard heels clicking across marble, confident and unhurried. Victoria Vale stood near the window, phone pressed to her ear, ending a call with a single word that sounded like a command rather than a goodbye. She turned, eyes sharp. "Good. You're awake," she said. "We don't have much time." Daniel sat up, tension instantly back in his shoulders. "For what?" She tossed a tablet onto the table. Headlines filled the screen, photos of them entering the hotel, blurry but unmistakable. Single dad seen with billionaire Victoria Vale. "Who is he?" Daniel's stomach dropped. "You said I'd be seen," he said quietly. "You didn't say my son would be dragged into this." Victoria's jaw tightened. "No one will touch him," she said firmly. "I won't allow it." Daniel stood. "You don't get to allow things in my life just because you're rich." The room went cold. Then, slowly, Victoria's expression cracked, not anger, but something closer to pain. "You're wrong," she said. "I don't do this because I'm rich. I do it because I'm terrified." That stopped him. She walked to a locked door and opened it. Inside was a smaller room, plain, almost empty. On the wall were photographs. Daniel's breath caught. They were of him. Younger. Tired. Holding Leo as a baby. Standing beside a woman with tired eyes and a gentle smile. His wife. "You've been watching me," he whispered. "For 6 years," Victoria said. "Because that night you saved me. I was pregnant too." Daniel turned sharply. "What?" "I lost the baby," she said, voice steady but eyes glassy. "And while you went home and loved your family, I buried mine and built an empire to forget the silence." She faced him fully now. "I didn't choose you because you're weak. I chose you because you're the only man I ever saw walk away from power without asking for anything." Daniel's chest ached. "Then why trap me like this?" Victoria stepped closer.